The government always argue that they have brought, I mean, democracy in the country, freedom of expressions, construction of road and whatnot. But of recent, our young people went out on street to protest, and still now they have been going to court. They have been incarcerated in Mile 2 over 2 days or so. When you've heard about this incident, or when you have seen a old woman being tear gas on the street, what comes to your mind after they fought?
Well, first, I think the president and his government missed the script. In 2016, they were not elected to build roads for Gambia. They were not elected to fix hospitals or anything. They were elected to build institutions to make sure reparations, justice, and accountability are put in place. 10 years to date, not much has happened in that front. So, building roads, that's a comfort for some people, but that's not what we wanted, and that's not what they sold us. And in 2021, it's a continuation from where he started post 2016. So for me, Gambia still needs a hard reset to rebuild the institutions of state that will bring a meaningful democracy and that will empower the citizenry of this country.
Community policing, police interactions with civilians on the street has not been really been nice when it comes to young Gambians or Gambians demanding justice and accountability in their government in their public institutions. We have seen what has been meted on the young people on the trucks. I want you to share reservation on the issues of this public order act and denying Gambian to protest in an event that there is a need for it.
Well, before we talk about the Public Order Act, we go back to our security sector. You cannot expect people who for 22, 23, 24 years were policing in a certain way for them to change without having sufficient retooling, rekitting, and disruption of the existing culture that made them to be brutal. But that also need to come with laws to empower citizens and deter uniformed people from doing excessive policing or otherwise. Now, the Public Order Act. Could the government, this government, could they have done something to change it? The answer is yes. Do they want to change it? I don't think so, because it's a deterrent. It stifles dissent. So, once again, selfishness within the political class is what Gambians are suffering from, rather than just being able to pass laws and make sure citizens are empowered and people are held to account. That's why I'm saying 10 years, not significant change structurally, if you look at our institutions, have happened. So if I'm to do a scorecard, we haven't done much in 10 years to really strengthen the institutions of state and hold people accountable.
One of the institutions that need to be protected is the Office of the Auditor General. Auditor has been forcefully removed from his office, and I know you must have seen this on media or somewhere else. You've heard about this riffraff with the government. I mean, to an extent of removing auditors from the office. As somebody who is an economist who worked with the, global economics institutions or entities, were you shocked?
Well, by law, the office of the Inspector General, Auditor General, sorry, is highly protected. That's, for me, that's one of the best laws in Gambia. But unfortunately, laws are as good as the very people who execute them. And sometimes when people are willing to be straight bedfellows, that's where our problems start. For me, the Inspector General should not have engaged in going to kick out the Auditor General. But sadly, it's what it is, and that's the Gambia we live in. And I hope there
Yeah,
will be redress through the Supreme Court.
I want you to delve a little bit about the issues of police. Police, their responsibility is to man the checkpoint and regulate some of the destruction within the communities. But of recent, we have seen police engage, even during Gambia's time, police were engaged in arrest, police were engaged in human rights violations. And up to date, nothing or little has been changed when it comes to using institution to do politics, right?
Well, the problem is not the police men and women, it's the culture of policing, the institutional culture. That's where the problem lies. We need to fix the culture of the institution, then the men and women will comply. So, where is the disruption post 2016? None. Same standard operating procedures, same ways of doing things predominantly. So, not much has changed because we haven't seen a disruption, we haven't seen accountability. You cannot just retrain people without changing the architecture that they work in. The institutional architecture needs changing.
Exactly. Now, I have read one of your position, one of your article or report that you've written with regards to the issues of fish meal factories in Combo South, like in Combo South, yes, in our area. And this has been something that the young people have not, they are not been happy with it at all, at all. The community people are not been happy with it. When you are writing that position paper or that opinion, what was in your mind and what has changed from then to now?
Well, I won't call myself an environmentalist, but I'm a friend of the
Mhm.
environment. I am equally someone who loves nature and does a lot of adventure. Looking at what Golden Lead has done in Gunjur and other places in Combo South is disheartening. And as a citizen, I feel like I'm duty bound to add my voice and say not only that this is wrong, but call them out wherever, whenever I see wrongs being meted to the environment and the social disruption it has to the people living in those communities. And fish meals, for me, fish is probably the cheapest source of protein for the average Gambian. That is before the advent of fish meals. Challow, which is a major component of fish meal. So now humans are competing with pigs in China for protein, and the pigs are winning the humans in the Gambia, because the pigs, whoever owned them, happens to have deeper pockets relative to my people who are living not only on the shores of Combo South, but as far, far as Basse, because these Chalo and others are put in ice trucks and sent hinterland into the country. So we need to protect the vulnerable by making sure that we tell our government fish meal is detrimental to the development of our people. I'm not a fan of fish meals, and I would close all of them if I had the power and prerogative.
Now, we can both of us can agree that when it comes to these face meal factories, in many a times they do normally seek the consent of the community people. But do you really think that community engagement is has been properly done when it comes to accepting the issues of these face meal factories in our communities?
Well, you need to understand one thing: poverty has been weaponized in many processes in this country, politically and otherwise. You will have a fat cat who lives in a community. He is the contact liaison between owners of such investments and the community. If you come to a poor and vulnerable and you happen to give them something, they may give you their go ahead, but what you're giving them cannot even sustain them for a month. So that's the weaponization of poverty that has led a lot of people in some communities to give green lights to things that are detrimental to their own existence, sadly.
And among this has to do with the issues of sand mining, which I have been a strong advocate against sand mining. I mean, not sand mining per se, but irresponsible sand mining in the coastline. For example, in Sanyan today, a lot of women have lost their gardens, their vegetable garden, because of sand
I,
mining.
I know firsthand about that because I'm always at Sanyang Jungle Beach. The sand dunes. Yesterday, if you look at my post, I posted a place between Kachume and Sanyang. I nearly cried when I saw that place in recent. The video I posted was so green. If I tell you this video was taken in Scotland, you will say yes. Like a golf course. Real nice sand dunes covered with grass and everything else. You go there now, is a desolate wasteland with big holes that kids do sometimes fall into. Not long ago, a kid died in Batakunku, fell into a ditch, couldn't get out of it, drowned. People mining sand and not rehabilitating the place they're taking the sand from. The sand, those dunes were windbreakers. They're no longer there. Erosion is happening so fast. And no one's saying anything about it. And we need people like the NEA. I wonder what kind of environmental impact assessments do they do when they give people the green light to do such things. And that's why I always say that an educated person without conscience is a potential criminal, because there's what you call willful deceit, and there's what you call people doing things that benefit them at the expense of the greater good of society. And that is sad, but it's the Gambian reality.
I'm sorry for that. I was muted. Yes, Nyang, I just want you. I just want to pin you on the issues of the civil society organizations. You are somebody that always speak, with boldness when it comes to holding civil society organization, particularly not doing needful or not doing enough when it comes to advocating or when it comes to speaking directly to the people or speaking on behalf of the people. But of recent, we have seen my colleagues, civil society organization, being so low when it comes to advancing, promoting social justice. What will be your take
Well,
on
I
that?
can't talk much about civil society organizations because I'm not privy to what they do, but I'm privy to what someone like Madi Jobate of the Edward Francis Small Center does. And someone I have high regard and respect for, someone who has literally sacrificed for this country, and someone who has paid a hefty price for the positions that he has taken over the years. So there are still people who are fighting the good fight, like John Lewis used to say, the good trouble. And Madi is one of them. But overall, I don't know what's the position, stance of civil society because I don't engage them much. But someone like Madi, I know his position, his stance, and his sacrifice over time.
Yeah, you just made mention of an individual that is Uncle Mari that all of us knew what he has been doing. He's been arrested a couple of times, and then he's been writing, holding government accountable. And I wish to have him here next week, hopefully. But away from Madi, I mean, we have seen what Edward Francis Small is doing. But it's natural to know the responsibility of a civil society organization and even advocates. Do you
Well,
think
what
they are
I'm
doing
saying
enough?
is, me as a person, I'm not too engaged. I don't even know. I mean, I know Tango, the umbrella group, but I don't know many of the organizations under that umbrella. So it won't be it won't be prudent on my end to pass judgment on something I don't know. But I think the space is a bit lethargic. There can be a little bit more traction relative to where we are today.
Great. So we have 10 minutes to end the program, and I want us to end the program. I know, Sundewado see the So I
Yes.
would love us to end this program with politics a bit, and then, I am very curious with the issues of, you know, the political space, the political atmosphere in the Gambia today. What's your take on the political atmosphere of the Gambia in general?
Well, before I get on my take on the political atmosphere, Gambia, we're revolving and evolving with a vicious cycle of political participation. Everyone is active right now talking about politics, politics. But see, politics as a whole is an equation. On one side of it, you have political education. On the other side of it, you have political participation. Gambians are so keen to participate in politics without acquiring knowledge that will inform their political participation. So the level of political education in the Gambia is so low. And that's why Gambian politics is personally driven most of the time rather than issue oriented politics. And this has to change if we want to bring meaningful change and hold politicians accountable. But looking at the space right now, I was talking to a friend yesterday. I said, there's been a lot of noise about coalition, coalition. But there are stages, and I told my friend that we're in the jockeying stage. Everyone is saying, I'm the man, I can do it. People should rally behind me. But pretty soon, that window is going to close, and boys will be identified from the men, and the grain will be picked from the chaff, and we will know who the movers and shakers are, and who the stars and the dogs are. And then I'm hopeful that we will have a coalition, but will we have a meaningful coalition? The answer is no, because Gambians still lack political education to make an informed decision that will be to their best interest.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused. You said we will boys will be coming out from men. I want you to digest that a little bit. Yeah,
No,
what
no,
do you
no, no.
mean?
What I'm just saying, right now, everyone is coming out saying people should follow me. It's all right. That's what you call political jockeying. Everyone wants to position themselves to be the pallbearer. Now, crunch time will come. And when crunch time comes, that's when power is measured by your might and weight. I'm not talking about numbers, but influence. And we are prone to, we will see that shortly. I mean, don't be confused. I think in the next coming month or so, by April, we will really see the shape of something that will be a formidable force to deal with Barrow.
What have you seen about the issues of the emergence of new political parties? I mean, political parties, you know, headed by young politicians like the Sekou Sawas, the Taliban shooters. When you see young people taking center stage now, do you really convince or do you have hope that Gambia someday is going to be better than this?
Well, the emergence of more political parties in the Gambia is a good thing because I love political plurality. So I'm happy that that's happening. But if we look at the trend from 2019 to date, we've lost a lot of young, up and coming politicians to greener pastures rather than conviction. So, yes, a lot of young people coming, and I do hope that we will have a rethink about our purpose in wanting our voice not only to be heard, but to be one of an apex voice that should speak for an overwhelming majority. We need clarity, consistency, conviction, and conscience to ensure that the interests of the greater good is preserved, particularly the youth of this country, by their fellow youths who intend or want to be leaders of men.
You touched something here which is very important. Knowing what we knew, a lot of young politicians branded themselves, as the fighters and the new generation of our era. But subsequently, I mean, if not all, most of them have been joined the incumbent. Why do you think that a lot of young people think from that perspective, or some of them?
Yeah, because something has emerged in the Gambia called political entrepreneurship. Politics is not a vocation. And now we have a group of Gambians who want to make a living off of politics. So they have become political entrepreneurs. And that's why you happen to have a transfer window. in and out, and sometimes being recycled.
How will you describe the window now? Has it been closed or is yet to be opened?
Oh no, the window is very buoyant, and don't be surprised if you see movement at the parliament in the coming 2 months. People defecting and going to other parties. Yes, it's the season to move.
Yeah, I want to close this program with a couple of questions, and then because we're gonna have you here. I told you this before we start the program. You're somebody that we need to talk about finance. We need to talk about a lot of things. We need to talk about security and issues related to that. I know that you are a busy somebody, but we will see how best we will be, dragging you here time and time. Young is an economist, a renowned economist, and somebody who is highly respected and then valued in Gambian society, especially among young people, especially among young students that are going to university. They would love to see Nyanjai in the classroom. Would you consider going to University of the Gambia to help those young students?
I don't know. I mean, look, I'm fair with myself. I'm not qualified to be a lecturer. You see, Gambia, the standards are so low. That's why people dare to go to a classroom and say they're instructors. I'm not one of those. I'm not fit to be a lecturer. And I want to give people what I have. And I don't have the tools of the trade to be a lecturer, period. But in a country where standards are lowered, the bar is lowered, yes, people will hop up to things and go stand in a podium and give not only a lecture, but instructions. I'm not cut out for that, and I'm not trained to do that. So I will not do it. I only do what I know how to do, and I'm relatively good at doing. And that's why I stay in the lane that I'm in.
Would you consider, giving public lectures,
Oh,
holding
yes.
seminars at the
No,
university?
see, that's different. Public lectures has nothing to do with rating someone's academic. So, yes, I can do that easily, but not to be in the university teaching. No way. I don't have the skills or the toolkit.
Now, why didn't you take position in this government?
It's not my thing to take a position. One has to be asked. And I haven't been asked, so I'll just do what I do. But will I love to work for the government of the Gambia? Yes. Will I love to work for the government of the Gambia as is? The answer is no. Because there are fundamental things we need to work on that will make anyone who wants to work for government have an impactful legacy. I am not the type who just want a job for a job's sake. I want a job to make a difference and an impact. And whenever I see and feel I cannot, it's time to move on.
Young, your last message to the Gambian for today.
Well, I always tell people Gambia is a continuum. We have 3 failed political experiments. Kukoy Sambasanya, he didn't succeed, thank God. Yaya Jammeh succeeded in creating a government. We have seen what that political experiment has done socially to Gambia. Now, 2016 was another political experiment. For me, the jury is out. What was supposed to happen post 2016 is not the roads and all these things, but it's institutions. That's why I said earlier that a country is a continuum, and what we expected, or what I expected from President Barrow, was to be the architect that will build the blueprint that the new Gambia will be premised on, and subsequent governments will build on that blueprint. And that blueprint would have been the institutions, programs, and plans that we will continue working on for the next 50 to 75 years. But he missed that opportunity, and we really need to kickstart again. And I do hope 2026 we'll have an opportunity to hit the reset button. But this time we need a hard reset to ensure that we'll do the right thing for duty, honor, and country, because Mother Gambia has suffered significantly, not only in the hands of the colonials, but the hands of her sons and daughters who have neglected this mother for far too long. And we need to give back and make sure Mother Gambia will be proud of our efforts to make our country a beacon of hope and a shining light amongst the leagues of nations. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nyanjai. It's been a
My
pleasure
pleasure.
talking to you once again directly. I am very excited. You're somebody that I've been watching for over 5 years. It's such a pleasure talking to you directly today. And then our viewers have been asking you. They said you must come from TikTok. That's where we usually meet and do our things. But we would love to have you here, Nyang. Anytime soon. Hopefully.
Well, pleasure is mine, and I hope we may do it again if time permits. But thank you, and thank you to your listeners, viewers, and audience. God bless the Gambia. Cheers.
Thank you.